Iglesia Cristo is an international Christian religion that originated in the Philippines. It was registered in 1914 by Felix Y.Manalo, who became its first executive minister. The Iglesia ni Cristo claims to be the one true church and says that it is the restoration of the original church founded by Jesus and that all other Christian churches are apostates. Inc. doctrine cites that the official registration of the church with the government of the Philippine Islands on July 27, 1914, by Felix Y.Manalo, upheld by its members to be the last messenger of God, was an act of divine providence in the fulfillment of biblical prophecy concerning the re-establishment of the Church of Christ in the Far East, concurrent with the coming of the seventh seal, marking the end of days. By the time of Manalo's death in 1963, the Iglesia ni Cristo had become a nationwide church with 1,250 local chapels and 35 large concrete cathedrals. His son, Originated G.Manalo, became the next church leader and led a campaign to grow and internationalize the church until his death on August 31, 2009, whereupon his son, Eduardo V. Manalo, succeeded him as executive minister. In 2010, the Philippine census by the National Statistics Office found that 2.45% of the population in the Philippines are affiliated with the Iglesia ni Cristo, making it the third largest religious organization in the Philippines after the Roman Catholic Church and Islam, respectively. History. During American colonial rule over the Philippines, there were a variety of rural anti-colonial movements, often with religious undertones, and American Protestant missionaries introduced several alternatives to the Roman Catholic Church. The established church during Spanish colonial period. Background: Felix Y.Manalo, born on May 10, 1886, in Taguig, Philippines, was baptized in the Roman Catholic Church. In his teenage years, Manalo became dissatisfied with Roman Catholic theology. According to the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, the establishment of the Philippine Independent Church was his major turning point, but Manalo remained uninterested since its doctrines were mainly Catholic. In 1904, he joined the Methodist Episcopal Church, entered the Methodist Seminary, and became a pastor for a while. He also sought through various denominations, including the Presbyterian Church, Christian Mission, and finally Seventh-day Adventist Church in 1911. Manalo left Adventistism in 1913 and associated himself with atheist and agnostic peers. On November 1913, Manalo secluded himself with religious literature and unused notebooks in a friend's house in Pasay, instructing everyone in the house not to disturb him. He emerged from seclusion 3 days later with his newfound doctrines. Manalo, together with his wife, went to Punta Santa Ana, Manila, in November 1913 and started preaching. He left the congregation in the care of his first ordained minister and returned to his native Taguig to evangelize there. He was ridiculed and stoned at his meetings with locals. He was later able to baptize a few converts, including some of his persecutors. He later registered his newfound religion as the Iglesia ni Cristo on July 27, 1914, at the Bureau of Commerce as a corporation sole, with himself as the first executive minister. Expansion followed as Inc. started building congregations in the provinces in 1916, with Pasig having 2 locals established. The first 3 ministers were ordained in 1919. By 1924, Inc. had about 3,000 to 5,000 adherents in 43 of 45 congregations in Manila and 6 nearby provinces. By 1936, Inc. had 85,000 members. This figure grew to 200,000 by 1954. A Cebu congregation was built in 1937, the first to be established outside of Luzon, and the first in the Visayas. The first mission to Mindanao was commissioned in 1946. Meanwhile, its first concrete chapel was built in Sampaloc, Manila, in 1948. Adherents fleeing for the provinces away from Manila, where the Japanese forces were concentrated during World War II, were used for evangelization. As Manalo's health began to fail in the 1950s, his son Arano began taking leadership of the church. Felix Y.Manalo died on April 12, 1963. Within the span of 49 years of his administration, the Iglesia ni Cristo had 1,250 local chapels and 35 large concrete cathedrals. He was a recognized and highly respected religious leader of the Philippines. International expansion. On July 27, 1968, Arano G.Manalo officiated at the inaugural worship service of the church in Ewa Beach, Honolulu, Hawaii, the first mission of the church outside the Philippines. The following month, Inc. established the San Francisco congregation. In 1971, the church started in Canada. In June 1987, the U.S. main office was set up in Daly City, California, to assist the Inc. central administration in supervising the then 11 districts of the church in the West. The first local congregation in Latin America was established in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, in 1990. The following year, the church reached Mexico and Aruba. From 2000 and beyond, congregations rose in the Central and South American countries. The first local congregation in Europe was established in England in 1972. The church came to Germany and Switzerland in the mid-70s. By the end of the 1980s, congregations and missions could be found in the Scandinavian countries and the neighbors. The Rome, Italy, congregation was established on July 27, 1994, the Jerusalem, Israel, congregation in March 1996, and the Athens, Greece, congregation in May 1997. The predecessors of these full-fledged congregations began 2 decades earlier. Meanwhile, the mission first reached Spain in 1979. The first mission in Northern Africa opened in Nigeria in October 1978. After a month, the King Williamstown congregation in South Africa was established. A congregation was organized in Guam in 1969. In Australia, congregations have been established since mid-1970s. The church first reached China by way of Hong Kong and Japan through Tokyo, also in the 1970s. Missions have also opened in Kazakhstan and Sakhalin Island in Russia. In Southeast Asia, the first congregation in Thailand was established in 1976, and missions have already been conducted in Brunei since 1979. In addition, there are also congregations in Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, and Malaysia. In 1965, Inc. launched its first resettlement and land reform program in Barrio Maligaya, La Nueva Ecija. Inc. started operating a radio station in 1969, while its first television program aired in 1983. The Ministerial Institute of Development, renamed as Iglesia ni Cristo School for Ministers, was founded in 1974 in Quiapo, Manila, and moved in Quezon City in 1978. In 1971, the Inc. Central Office building was built in Quezon City. In 1984, the 7,000-seat Central Temple was added in the complex. The Tabernacle, a multi-purpose tent-like building which can accommodate up to 4,000 people, was finished in 1989. The complex also includes the New Era University, a higher education institution run by Inc. Arano G.Manalo died on August 31, 2009. His son, Eduardo V.Manalo, succeeded him as executive minister upon his death. 21st century. On July 21, 2014, President Benigno Aquino III and Inc. executive minister Eduardo V.Manalo led the inauguration of Ciudad of Victoria, a 140-hectare tourism zone in Boca and Santa Maria, Bulacan, where the Philippine Arena is also located. The Philippine Arena, a 50,000-seat multi-purpose structure touted as the world's largest indoor domed arena, was constructed for the INC's centennial celebration on July 27, 2014. On July 27, 2014, Inc. celebrated its centennial anniversary at Ciudad of Victoria, with Philippine Arena as the main venue, and in about 1,180 worship buildings worldwide through live video feed. The week-long celebration consisted of pyro-musical displays, worship service led by Manalo, oratorio, musical presentation, theatrical play, quiz show, and evangelical mission. For the worship service conducted for the Inc. Centennial, Inc. secured 2 Guinness World Records for the largest gospel choir with 4,745 members and largest mixed-use indoor theater for the Philippine Arena with 51,929 attendees. On July 26, 2015, Inc. capped the centennial year through different activities such as International Unity Games, worship service led by Manalo, and closing centennial celebration, which were held at Washington, D.C., United States, and the Philippine Arena. During mid-2015, internal conflicts challenged the century-old church. It was when Felix Nathaniel Angel Manalo, the brother of current executive minister Eduardo V. Manalo, and the mother, Cristina Tenny Manalo, the widow of former executive minister Arano G. Manalo, uploaded a video to YouTube alleging that the Inc. administration had threatened the lives and that there has been a mass kidnapping of ministers. The Iglesia ni Cristo, however, denies the claims of kidnapping and has expelled Angel and Tenny Manalo for what they have described as creating schism in the church and power grabbing. On October 4, 2015, Inc., through Viva Films, conducted the world premiere of Felix Manalo, a film depicting the origin of the Inc. and the life of its first executive minister, which was held at the Philippine Arena. Beliefs and core values. Iglesia ni Cristo believes that it is the true church established by Jesus Christ in the 1st century, and that its registration in the Philippines is the fulfillment of biblical prophecies that Christ's church would re-emerge in the Far East. Because of a number of similarities, some Protestant writers describe INC's doctrines as restorationist in outlook and theme. Bible. The Iglesia ni Cristo believes that the Bible is the only book inspired by God. It is the sole basis of all the beliefs and practices. God the Father, Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. The Iglesia ni Cristo believes that God the Father is the creator deity and the only true God. Inc. rejects the traditional Christian belief in the Trinity as heresy, adopting a version of Unitarianism. They believe that this position is attested by Jesus Christ and the Apostles. Christ and the Apostles are united in teaching how many and who is the real God. Similar to other true Christians, according to Apostle Paul, there is only one God, the Father, not the Son, and more so not the Holy Spirit. The Apostles also did not teach that there is one God who has 3 personas who are also gods. It is not found in the Holy Scriptures of the Bible, and if priests ever use the Bible to prove this teaching of theirs, all are based only on suppositions and presumptions. From Pasugo, the Church believes that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and the mediator between God the Father and humanity, and was created by God the Father. God sanctified him to be without sin, and bestowed upon him the titles Lord and Son of God. The Church sees Jesus as God's highest creation, and denies the deity of Jesus. Adherents profess Jesus' substitutionary role in the redemption of humankind. He is believed to have been foreordained before the foundation of the world and sent by God to deal with sin. Members are saved by Christ's blood, who died because of his self-sacrificing love. Inc. believes that the Holy Spirit is the power of God and also not a deity being sent by God the Father and Jesus Christ to guide God's people. One true church, the Iglesia ni Cristo, believes that it is the one true church founded by Jesus Christ and was restored by Felix Y.Manalo in the last days. They believe that the first-century church apostatized in that century, or in the 4th century, due to false teachings. Inc. says that this apostate church is the Roman Catholic Church. Meanwhile, its re-establishment is seen as the signal for the end of days. They believe that the Iglesia ni Cristo is the fulfillment of the Bible verse Isaiah chapter 43 verse 5, where East refers to the Philippines, where the Church of Christ would be founded. Inc. teaches that its members constitute the elect of God, and there is no salvation outside the Iglesia ni Cristo. Faith alone is insufficient for salvation. The Iglesia ni Cristo says that the official name of the true church is Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo. The two passages often cited by Inc. to support this are Romans chapter 16 verse 16. Greet one another with a holy kiss. All the churches of Christ greet you, and the George Lamsa translation of Acts chapter 20 verse 28. Take heed therefore, to feed the church of Christ which he has purchased with his blood. Felix Y.Manalo. Felix Y.Manalo is said to be the restorer of the Church of Christ, and God's last messenger. Inc. says that Manalo is the angel from the east mentioned in Revelation chapter 7 verses 1 to 3, who started the Inc. at the same time that World War I broke out. This period, according to Inc., is referred to as the ends of the earth, the time when the end of the world is near, even at the doors, which began with the outbreak of a war of global proportions. Felix Y.Manalo is from the Philippines, which they say is in the center of the Far East. The four winds in Revelation chapter 7 verses 1 to 3, they say refers to World War I and the four angels of the four leaders known as the Big Four, who they say worked on the prevention of the war. Manalo is also portrayed as the fulfillment of several passages in Isaiah and other books of the Bible. Manalo's titles are Ravenous Bird from the East, Worm Jacob, One Shepherd, and The Last Elijah is the one who established the Inc. Manalo was the chief administrator, chief theologian and spiritual leader of the church. As such, he was the ultimate authority in all aspects of the church, and effectively the foremost biblical authority for all humanity and the divinely designated leader of the re-established Church of Christ in the modern world. Baptism. The Church believes that baptism is done by immersion baptism, a believer's baptism by adults in water, and that it is necessary that people be baptized in the Iglesia ni Cristo to become disciples of Jesus Christ. The Church rejects infant baptism. Newborn children of members are instead dedicated to God through a congregational prayer led by an ordained minister of the Inc. People who wish to be baptized in the Inc. must first submit to a formal process taking at least 6 months. Once someone officially registers with the local congregation, the person is given the status of being a Bible student and taught the 25 lessons concerning fundamental teachings and its beginnings in the Philippines. These lessons are contained in the doctrine manual written by Irano G.Manalo entitled Fundamental Beliefs of the Iglesia Cristo. This book is given to ministers, evangelical workers, and ministerial students of the INC. Each lesson is usually 30 minutes to 1 hour in length. After hearing all the lessons, the student enters a probationary period during which they are obliged to attend 15 once-a-week group prayer meetings, where they are taught to pray and are guided in their adjustment to the INC lifestyle. When the 6th month comes, students who have been active in attending the twice-a-week worship services and whose lifestyles are in accordance with INC doctrines are screened before being baptized. During the screening, they are asked questions about the teachings of the Church. Excommunication members who are not living in accordance with the doctrines taught in the INC are admonished. Those who continue in violation of INC doctrines after being admonished are excommunicated or expelled from the INC and thus lose salvation. And therefore, the Church does not believe in the perseverance of the saints. Certain violations, such as eating blood, being absent from worship services too long without any solid reason, or marrying or having a romantic relationship with a non-member may result in mandatory excommunication. Eschatology and Resurrection Inc. believes that a person is composed of a body, soul and spirit. Members believe that when a person dies, her body and soul both die and go into the grave where both will remain until the second coming of Christ, whereas the spirit will go back to God. Upon Christ's return, all dead servants of God, from the time of the patriarchs up to the last days, would be resurrected to join living faithful and loyal INC members. They will be rewarded by living in the Holy City in New Jerusalem, together with God the Father and Jesus Christ. After 1,000 years, the second resurrection would occur, and non-INC members will experience second death, which is the lake of fire. The Church believes that God set a day where he will judge all people. They believe that this day is also the second coming of Jesus Christ. INC divides time into 3 eras. The era of the patriarchs from creation to the birth of Moses, the era of the prophets from the birth of Moses to the birth of Jesus, and the Christian era from the birth of Jesus to the last judgment. Adherents believe Felix Y.Manalo to be the last messenger of God in the Christian era. Practices, worship and prayer. The Church conducts regular worship services, one during the week, and one during the weekend, conducted in the local languages. It consists of singing of hymns, prayers, studies of the Bible, collection of voluntary offerings, and benediction. Both God the Father and Jesus are worshipped. The ministers of every congregation in a given worship service use the same sermon outline prepared by the executive minister. Deacons and deaconesses guide worshippers to the seats and collect voluntary offerings. The singing of hymns is led by the locales choir. The first hymn book, termed as Ang Hymnario ng Iglesia ni Cristo, which consists about 300+ songs, was published in 1937. Children worship services are held every weekend. They use similar lessons as the standard worship services taught using the Socratic method. The Church teaches that willfully forsaking the worship service is a grievous sin. Thus members are expected to attend the congregational worship services twice a week without fail. The Church encourages its members to make prayer a part of everyday life. Thus, prayer before various activities, such as taking meals and going to sleep, are commonly practiced. Prayers recited in rote repetition are not observed. Evangelism. Since February 1939, the Church has been publishing Pasugo in both Tagalog and English. As of 2010, the God's Message magazine also features a Spanish section, and in 2012 it has also German and Japanese sections. Felix Y.Manalo wrote its first editorial where he stated the publication's purpose, including promoting the propagation of the faith. Issues contain articles which detail Inc. doctrines and refute doctrines which it considers as heresy, such as the Trinity. It also features information on church history, educational programs and missionary achievements, including lists and photographs of newly dedicated chapels. In 2001, it had a monthly circulation of 235,000 copies. For the year 2009, there were more than 4 million copies of Pasugo distributed worldwide. In the Philippines, through the Christian Era Broadcasting Service International Incorporated, Inc. broadcasts programs that discuss Bible teachings over the radio and television. These programs are aired by about 60 other radio stations all over the Philippines and several more in the US and Australia. INC-TV 49, as well as major cable stations in the Philippines and some channels in the US. DirecTV CH2068 telecast the INC's religious programs. These programs can also be seen in the Internet via the website www.inc.media.org. Inc. holds religious gatherings called evangelical missions regularly which aim to attract more followers. On February 28, 2012, Inc. held its largest Philippine-wide evangelical missions simultaneously on 19 sites across the country. In Manila-It alone, more than 600,000 people attended the event. On April 13, 2013, Inc. launched Lingap Pamamahayag under its Project Kabayan Ko, Kapatid Ko, which incorporates outreach missions to its evangelical missions. On September 26, 2015, Inc. held its first worldwide evangelical mission at the Philippine Arena as the main venue and in 2,125 sites throughout the world through video conferencing. It was officiated by Inc. Executive Minister Eduardo Manalo. Outreach on November 19, 1981. Inc. has launched the Lingap Sa Mamamayan program. The program aims to provide relief goods, health care, and other services to the needy, especially those who are afflicted by calamities and disasters. It also provides seminars for disaster preparedness, first aid, and family planning. Other humanitarian activities such as blood donation and community clean-up drives were also conducted in different parts of the world where the Iglesia ni Cristo is established. Felix Y.Manalo Foundation, the INC's arm in executing the Lingap Sa Mamamayan and other related programs, was formally registered in the Philippines on February 4, 2011, and in the United States on May 17, 2012. The institution is also recognized in Japan, South Korea, Spain, and Russia. Inc. also established the UNLAD International Inc. in 2012. It is the INC's arm in providing sustainable livelihood to its members. On July 7, 2012, the Inc. Lingap Sa Mamamayan was conducted in the slums of Parola in Tondo, Manila and was awarded 3 Guinness World Records for breaking records in the most people involved in a dental health check, the most blood pressure readings taken in 8 hours and the most blood glucose level tests in 8 hours. On April 29, 2016, 4 more Guinness World Records were broke by the Inc. These records of the largest collection of clothes for recycle donation, the most shoes donated to charity in 24 hours, the most medical ultrasound examinations in 8 hours, and the most medical risk assessment in 8 hours, which was also held in Tondo, Manila. On February 15, 2014, Inc. bagged another 2 Guinness World Records when they conducted a worldwide charity walk simultaneously on 135 different sites scattered in 29 countries. Inc. holds the records for the largest charity walk on a single venue when 175,509 members of the church finished the 1.6 kilometers walk in Manila, and for the largest charity walk in 24 hours when a total of 519,521 participants finished the charity walk in different parts of the world. The proceeds were used for the housing and livelihood projects of Super Typhoon Haiyan survivors. On February 22, 2014, Inc. conducted another Lingap sa Mamamayan at its first resettlement project in Barrio Maligaya in Palayan City, Nueva Ecija, coinciding with the Barrio's 49th anniversary. Inc. bagged another world record after setting the record for the most number of hunger relief packs distributed within 8 hours. A total of 302,311 hunger relief packages were given. On March 14, 2014, after conducting a worship service in Tacloban, Leyte, Inc. Executive Minister Eduardo V. Manalo led the groundbreaking ceremony of the EVM Self-Sustainable Community Rehabilitation Project in Sitio New Era, a 3,000-hectare property of the church in Braji, Langat, Alang, Leyte. The project, which costs more than 1 billion pesos, includes at least 1,000 housing units for the survivors of Super Typhoon Haiyan. Garments and dried fish factories and eco-farming project are also included to provide livelihood to the community. More than 150,000 hunger relief packages were also given, which contains 3 kilos of rice, canned goods and instant noodles, aside from the free medical and dental services conducted that day. On January 23, 2015, Manalo inaugurated the Livelihood and Housing Project. On November 9, 2015, Manalo inaugurated a community project for Kabihug tribe, an indigenous group in Camarines Norte. The project is situated in a 100-hectare land which includes 300 housing units, calamansi orchard, ecological farm, dried fish factory, garments factory, clinic, learning center, and an Inc. worship building.